We all know that Twitter is a cesspit of left-wing hatred, a steaming, partisan cauldron of bigotry that both censors conservatives and encourages abuse to be poured on them from all angles. If you want to gloat and celebrate at the death of Prince Philip, then it's fine. If you want to threaten to kill or beat up any right-leaning figure, go ahead. But if you dare to criticise or expose BLM or CNN, then the Twitter police will be on you like gangbusters. There's no hiding this. And Twitter's denials of its incipient bias are as empty and laughable as those of the BBC. So it's funny to see it when, albeit briefly, the left fear that it might go the other way. When the people who have cheered and championed cancel culture suddenly wail with indignation when it turns on them. They'll never admit it, because their brazen hypocrisy simply doesn't allow such self-awareness. But it's amusing for us to see how undignified they behave when subject to the same treatment they continually dish out to others. This was laid bare when, shock horror, 4 left-wing accounts were temporarily suspended. Louise Raw, Rachel Swindon, Des Friedman and David Miller were briefly canned for alleged anti-Semitism, which is currently as common on the left as the colour red, or resentment and hypocrisy. Dr. Raw apparently claimed that Mossad were behind all the allegations of anti-Semitism in Labour. Jem called Louise Raw a respected academic, with the highest standards of fact-checking and decency. But Jay Beecher slated Rachel Swindon for demanding that all Jews apologise for the actions of Israel, and for sharing anti-Semitic conspiracy theories about the Rothschild family. Whatever the truth behind the allegations, their suspensions proved to be remarkably fleeting. But oh, how they wailed in the brief moment that their endless bullying was turned back on them. There was much wailing and sobbing and gnashing of teeth, with widespread talk of a purge. The hashtag Stop the Purge started trending immediately. Kerry Ann Mendoza was particularly distraught. She perhaps overreacted when claiming that we will never forget that as we face the terror of 21st century fascism, supposed liberals declared war on the left instead. The woman, who has long supported McCarthyist witch hunts against the right, was adamant that this was the new McCarthyism, that we are in the fight of our lives, and everyone on Twitter should read the most alarmist accounts. Even as it transpired, the fight of their lives turned out to be 2 hours of minor inconvenience for just 4 people. Hardly comparable to the tsunami of cancellation inflicted on the right. Yet when the boot is turned, it's suddenly a witch hunt. It's censorship. It's a huge problem. Allusions with the Nazis swiftly and inevitably followed. Pastor Niemöller's "First they came for the socialist" speech was dramatically posted numerous times by twits who described the case as sinister and disturbing. Kerry Ann called it outrageous. Jeremy Corbyn fans naturally joined in. Asa Winstanley claimed that the bans were driven by the Israel lobby, which, apparently, operates primarily on TikTok. Even Wonder Woman joined in, while Isa MC called it totally ridiculous. Ramesh Patel also went all Pastor Niemöller on us, while Love, Peace and Justice called it an absolute disgrace. He, and many others, posted James Foster's comment that the move was madness, while Helen Joanne was sure that Dominic Cummings was behind it. Because he obviously controls Twitter. Right? Just John also called it absolute madness, which I thought was an album, while Samantha Campbell regarded it as disgusting. Christina, who can't spell en masse, urged the left to stand up, that they have nothing to fear. Christine Morgan, socialist for life, yelled that May had shouted at Corbyn, "We will never let you win," which to her conspiracy-addled mind was deeply suspicious. Though to the rest of us, it's just a sign that they're political rivals, who are contesting an election. But whatever. Morgan also claimed they're trying to silence dissent. And she remarkably concluded that the entirety of British media is right-wing fascist. For Matt Bandana, it was goddamn time for this campaign. For Wiltshire Kerry, it was because the right are nervous of socialism. Change is coming. People are waking up to the evils of capitalism. Kerry also asked, "Whatever happened to freedom of speech?" Well, Kerry, it was killed by you lot on the left. Revolution Blues wailed that Twitter was taking down leftist accounts like there's no tomorrow. After getting just a tiny taste of their own medicine, KC tweeted that we really need to get off Twitter, don't we? SD claimed that the People's Republic of England is a fascist state, while Neil Paxman described it as an organised campaign to silence left-wing views. Claire Taylor was convinced the whole thing was a Tory plot, while Setspeed seems to think Blairite moles are attacking socialists within Labour. Daniel Fuchs was adamant that Twitter were behaving appallingly, that we're living in dark times. The net is closing in. The left is, apparently, being expelled from public life. Our lives depend on us fighting back. Well, as Oscar Wilde said, you'd have to have a heart of stone not to laugh. And many sure felt the chickens had come home to roost. Mart rather wittily retorted that they're a private company, and it's their platform. They can do what they want. Knackered journalist teased Kerry Mendoza on how she's been such a consistent defender of free speech when conservative and Christian views were slung off platforms. Art Prowse had little sympathy either, because the left thinks it's fine for them to shut down and cancel anyone they disagree with. Davos enjoyed it too, and had no intention of helping, while Awakened Man mused that those who sow the wind reap the whirlwind. Dave Ware thought it was comical, but still expressed support, which never happens the other way around. David Atherton would normally be sympathetic too, but the right to compassion has been somewhat eroded. Jamie Kay said, "This is what happens when you organise a mass pile-on against those who dare disagree with you." Karma. While Katie Montgomery also commented on the hypocrisy. Whiskey Fanatic had little sympathy, and David Atherton also turned the left's rhetoric and double standards back on them. Archer simply told them to shut up. You applauded when your opponents were silenced, and were too short-sighted to see they'd come for you. While Elir remarked that after years of celebrating the censorship and deplatforming of those with whom they disagreed, the left were in meltdown because one person had been suspended. The Souks gloated that the right warned these dictatorial controllers that it would turn on them. But they refused to listen. While Resurrected Tyre accurately observed that they laugh when it happens to us. They laughed when we warned that it could happen to them. They're not laughing now. Matt 2K said, "You don't like it when it's happening to you, huh?" And Blue was also clear on the left's infantile and petulant hypocrisy. While Jay Beecher gloated that it's about time the cretins got a taste of their own medicine. Shane called Stop the Purge the funniest hashtag he'd ever seen. While Traditional Britain noted that they love a good purge, until the Shaker knock on their door. Daziki also noted the jaw-dropping hypocrisy of Mendoza and co. while Wilson again demonstrated how the right are far more tolerant. Because in the interest of free speech and balance, none of these accounts should be banned. Dylan A. commented on these double standards too, while Szynski described their idiocy as beyond reckoning. Did they not think it could happen to them? The Prez pointed out that cancel culture works both ways. That free speech is for everyone, or for no one, comrades. Except it doesn't work both ways. Because they were back in ours. And the left, who take such joy in destroying others, will continue to wail in indignation at even a hint of their own treatment. It was fun while it lasted. But this incident sent a clear message about the appalling double standards that dominate our society. The power these internet giants wield is immense. The inconsistency in everything they do is shocking. And the battle for free speech, and the very soul of Western society, remains a steep uphill struggle that may yet be lost. If you've enjoyed this film, please like and subscribe. And if you're interested in these topics, I've written 2 books which go into them in extensive detail. They're called The Tyranny of the Left, and they're available on the links below. Please feel free to pick them up and let me know what you think. Thank you.